She's not going to tell you. That's the first thing you need to understand. She's not going to walk up to you, look you in the eye, and say the words you're hoping to hear. That's not how it works. That's not how it has ever worked. And if you're sitting there waiting for some clear, obvious, unmistakable signal, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. Most men miss it. Not because they're stupid, not because they don't care, but because they're looking for the wrong thing. They're looking for words. They're looking for grand gestures. They're looking for a woman to make it easy. And she won't. Not because she's playing games, but because the way a woman expresses desire is fundamentally different from the way a man does. And until you understand that difference, you'll keep misreading every situation you walk into. Let me say something that might sting a little. You've probably already been desired by a woman who never told you. She showed you. In small ways. In quiet ways. In ways that didn't look like what you expected. And you missed it. You either didn't notice, or you noticed but didn't trust it. You waited for more. You waited for certainty. And by the time you figured it out, if you ever did, the window had already closed. She had already pulled back. She had already convinced herself that you weren't interested. Or worse, she decided you weren't aware enough to be worth her vulnerability. That's not said to make you feel bad. That's said to wake you up. Because this is happening right now. Somewhere in your life, there is a woman showing you things you're not seeing. And this is your chance to finally learn what to look for. Not so you can manipulate. Not so you can play some game. But so you can actually meet her where she is. With awareness, with presence, and with the kind of quiet understanding that most men never develop. Here's the problem with how most men are taught to read women. You've been told attraction looks loud. You've been told it looks like flirting, like touching, like obvious interest. And sometimes it does. But more often, especially when a woman genuinely desires you, not just finds you amusing, it looks like something else entirely. It looks like restraint. It looks like nervousness. It looks like a woman who suddenly becomes very careful around you. Not cold. Careful. There's a difference. And that difference is everything. When a woman is casually attracted to someone she sees as entertainment, she's relaxed. She flirts freely. She teases. There's no weight to it. But when a woman feels something deeper, something that actually threatens her emotional walls, she changes. She pulls back slightly. She becomes more aware of herself. She watches you more closely but says less. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you'll think she's losing interest when she's actually falling into it. This is what most men get wrong. They see the pullback and they panic. They see the silence and they chase. They feel the distance and they try to close it with more words, more effort, more attention. And every single one of those reactions pushes her further away. Not because she doesn't want you, but because your reaction just told her something about you. It told her you don't understand the rhythm. It told her you need reassurance more than you trust yourself. And that, more than anything you could say, is what kills attraction. She's not testing you to be cruel. She's watching to see if you're safe, and safe doesn't mean soft. Safe means stable. Safe means you don't unravel when things get quiet. Safe means you can hold space without demanding that she fill it with validation. This is where most dating advice fails men. It teaches you what to do, what to say, how to act. But it never teaches you how to see. And seeing is everything. Because a woman who secretly desires you is not hiding from you. She's revealing herself in ways that require you to pay attention. Real attention. Not the kind where you're scanning for green lights so you can make your move. The kind where you're genuinely present enough to notice what she's showing you without her having to say it. And if you stay with me through this, you're going to start seeing things you've never seen before. Not because I'm going to teach you tricks, but because I'm going to show you what's already there, what's always been there, that you've been too distracted, too anxious, or too focused on yourself to notice. This isn't about learning to read women. This is about learning to be still enough that they finally feel safe showing you who they really are. Let's talk about why women don't just come out and say it. It's not because they enjoy watching you struggle. It's not because they want to see you guess. It's because for a woman, desire is one of the most vulnerable things she can feel. And vulnerability without safety is terrifying. Not the kind of terrifying that makes you run. The kind that makes you move slowly, carefully. The kind that makes you test the ground before you put your full weight on it. That's what she's doing when she pulls back. She's not leaving. She's checking the foundation. Think about it from her side for a moment. She feels something for you. Something she didn't plan. Something she can't fully control. And now she has a choice. She can show you and risk being rejected, misread, or taken for granted. Or she can hold it close, let it out in small doses, and watch how you respond to each one. That's not manipulation. That's self-preservation. And every woman who's ever been hurt knows exactly why she does it. So when you see her go quiet, when you notice her pulling back just slightly after a moment of closeness, don't react. Don't chase. Don't flood her with messages asking if something's wrong. Just be still. Let the space exist. Because that space is where she decides whether or not you're someone she can trust with the deeper parts of herself. Most men are terrified of that space. They feel it and they assume the worst. They think silence means rejection. They think distance means disinterest. And so they do the one thing that confirms every fear she had about showing you how she feels. They start performing. They start trying harder. They start over-explaining, over-giving, over-pursuing. And all of it, every single bit of it, communicates one thing: that you are not grounded in yourself, that your sense of value depends on her response. And the moment she senses that, the attraction begins to collapse. Not because she's shallow, not because she's playing a game, but because a woman cannot feel safe with a man who isn't safe in himself. Let me say that again because it might be the most important thing you hear today. A woman cannot feel safe with a man who isn't safe in himself. If your peace disappears when she goes quiet, she notices. If your confidence cracks when she doesn't respond quickly, she feels it. If your energy shifts every time she pulls back, she reads it, not with her mind, but with her nervous system. Women are wired to detect emotional instability, not because they're judging you, but because biologically and psychologically, they are scanning for safety. Every moment, in every interaction, especially with a man they're starting to care about. And here's what most men never realize: when a woman desires you, truly desires you, she's not looking for you to prove it back. She's looking for you to hold steady. She's looking for a man who doesn't need her reaction to know his own value. She's looking for the kind of calm that tells her nervous system, this one won't fall apart when things get hard. That's the foundation of deep attraction. Not words, not gestures, not grand displays. Stillness, steadiness, emotional weight that doesn't shift based on what she does or doesn't give you. Now let's get into what this actually looks like in real life. Because female desire doesn't announce itself, it leaks out, in small, almost invisible shifts, in patterns of behavior that most men either overlook completely or misinterpret as something casual. And once you learn to see them, you'll never unsee them. The first shift is mirroring. When a woman begins to desire you, she starts reflecting you back to yourself, often without realizing it. She picks up your phrases, she matches your energy. If you're calm, she becomes calm. If you lean back, she leans back. If you pause before speaking, she starts doing the same. This isn't imitation. This is emotional synchronization. Her nervous system is beginning to tune itself to yours. And that only happens when a woman feels drawn to someone on a level deeper than surface interest. You'll notice it in small things. The way she starts laughing at the same rhythm as you. The way her texting style begins to mirror yours. Shorter if you're short, warmer if you're warm. She may even start using words or expressions that are distinctly yours. Not because she's copying you, because you're becoming familiar to her emotional system. You're becoming someone her body recognizes as safe. And when the body feels safe, it synchronizes. Most men don't notice mirroring because they're too busy thinking about what to say next. They're in their heads, planning, strategizing, worrying. And while they're doing all of that, she's already showing them something real, something honest, something that says more than any words ever could. Pay attention to this, not with anxiety, not with calculation, just with presence. Because mirroring is one of the earliest signs that a woman's emotional wall is beginning to soften. And the more grounded you are when it happens, the deeper that softening goes. The second shift is even more revealing, and most men have no idea it's happening. She starts dropping her guard. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, in small ways that she would never allow with someone she didn't feel safe around. She tells you something slightly personal, not a deep secret, but something she doesn't usually share. She shows you a side of herself that isn't polished. Maybe she's a little awkward. Maybe she laughs too hard. Maybe she admits something embarrassing without thinking about it. And then, almost immediately, she catches herself. She looks at you just for a second to see how you reacted. That glance is everything. That glance is her asking, without words, "Is it safe to be real with you?" And your response in that moment matters more than any date you could plan, any gift you could give, any compliment you could offer. If you meet her with calm warmth, not a big reaction, not teasing, just steady acceptance, something shifts inside her. A wall comes down, not the whole wall, just a brick. But that brick matters, because it tells her she doesn't have to perform around you. And when a woman stops performing, that's when real desire begins to breathe.
There's a shift that happens when a woman starts to feel something real for you. It's one most men never recognize because it doesn't look like what they expect. It doesn't look like pursuit. It doesn't look like heat. It looks like protection. She starts protecting your image. This is the third shift, and it's one of the most powerful indicators of genuine emotional investment. When a woman begins to desire you, not casually, not on the surface, but in a way that touches something deep inside her, she becomes quietly protective of how others see you. She won't let people speak badly about you in her presence. If someone questions your character, she'll push back. Not loudly, not dramatically, but firmly. She'll correct the narrative. She'll offer context. She'll make sure the version of you that exists in other people's minds is one that reflects what she sees when she looks at you. And she won't tell you she's doing it. This is not something she performs for your benefit. This is something she does because it's instinctive. When a woman's emotions attach to a man, his reputation becomes an extension of her own emotional world. An attack on you feels like an attack on her judgment, her taste, her instincts, and she will quietly, firmly, without fanfare, make sure that doesn't go unchallenged. If you ever find out a woman has been defending you behind your back, not to impress you, not because you asked, but simply because she couldn't stand hearing someone diminish you, understand what that means. That's not friendship. That's not casual interest. That's emotional territory. She has claimed you in her mind, even if she hasn't said a word to you about it. And the fact that she's doing it in spaces where you'll never see it makes it even more real. The fourth shift is one that confuses men the most. She starts seeking your presence over your attention. There's a difference, and it's crucial. A woman who wants your attention will create situations that force you to notice her. She'll be louder, more animated, more visible. But a woman who desires you on a deeper level does something different. She doesn't need you to look at her. She just wants to be near you. She'll find reasons to be in the same room. She'll sit closer than she needs to. She'll show up to things she wouldn't normally care about, just because she knows you'll be there. And here's what makes this so easy to miss. She won't demand anything when she's there. She won't need conversation. She won't need engagement. She just wants proximity. Your presence alone does something to her nervous system. It calms her. It makes the world feel slightly more ordered. And she may not even fully understand why. She just knows that when you're around, something settles inside her. This is not about neediness. This is about resonance. When a woman's emotional system begins to bond with yours, your presence becomes a form of regulation for her. You become the room she wants to sit in, not because she can't be alone, but because being near you feels like the most honest version of rest. Most men miss this because they're looking for engagement. They want her to talk, to flirt, to give something visible. But sometimes the most profound sign of desire is a woman who simply wants to exist in your space, quietly, without performance, without expectation. Let her. The fifth shift is one that will test you, because it asks you to do the one thing most men resist the most. She starts respecting your silence. When a woman is only casually interested, your silence makes her uncomfortable. She feels it, she questions it, she takes it personally. But when a woman truly desires you, she begins to treat your silence differently. She doesn't rush to fill it. She doesn't pressure you to explain yourself. She sits in it with you, not anxiously, but willingly, because she's learned that your silence isn't absence, it's depth. This shift is quiet and easily overlooked, but it's a profound marker of emotional trust. A woman who can be with you in silence without needing to fix it, fill it, or question it. That woman has reached a level of comfort with you that most people never access. She's not just tolerating the quiet, she's honoring it. She's telling you without words that she trusts what exists between you even when nothing is being said. And this is where your groundedness matters most. Because if you're uncomfortable in your own silence, she'll feel it. If your quiet is anxious, uncertain, or performative, she'll sense it. But if your silence is the kind that comes from a man who is settled in himself, a man who doesn't need to speak to prove he's present, then that silence becomes one of the most attractive things about you. It tells her you're not performing. It tells her you don't need applause. It tells her that your sense of self doesn't depend on constant noise, constant validation, constant proof that you matter. And in a world full of men who are terrified of quiet, that kind of stillness is magnetic. The sixth shift is emotional alignment. You'll start to notice that her emotional rhythms begin to match yours. When you're calm, she's calm. When you're focused, she becomes more focused. When you're going through something difficult, she doesn't just sympathize, she feels it. Not because she's fragile, but because her emotional system has begun to orbit yours. She's not losing herself. She's including you in her emotional landscape in a way that changes how she experiences her own feelings. This is deep. This is not casual. When a woman's emotions begin to align with yours, it means her internal world has made space for you. You've moved from being someone external, someone she interacts with, to someone internal, someone who affects her mood, her peace, her sense of stability. And that kind of access is not given lightly. It's earned through consistency, through presence, through emotional safety that was never demanded but always offered. She may not name this. She may not even fully recognize it's happening, but you'll see it in the way she checks on you when she senses something is off. The way her mood shifts when yours does. The way she becomes more attuned to your emotional state than anyone else around you. That's not obsession. That's not codependency. That's a woman whose heart has quietly opened a door she doesn't open for just anyone.
The seventh shift is the one that breaks most men's understanding of attraction wide open, because it doesn't look like desire, it doesn't look like romance, it looks like care. She starts nurturing you, not in the way you might expect. Not grand acts of service or dramatic displays of devotion. Small things, quiet things. She remembers that you mentioned you hadn't been sleeping well, and the next time she sees you, she asks about it. Not casually, but with genuine concern in her voice. She notices you haven't eaten and says something about it. She sends you something, an article, a song, a thought, not because she wants a response, but because it made her think of you, and she wanted you to have it. This is the most misunderstood sign of deep female desire, because men often categorize nurturing behavior as friendship. They think, she's just being nice. And sometimes, yes, that's all it is. But when nurturing behavior comes alongside the other shifts, the mirroring, the guard dropping, the emotional alignment, the seeking of your presence, it's not niceness, it's investment. It's a woman who has decided, on a level she may not even be conscious of, that your well-being matters to her, that taking care of you in small ways is not a chore or an obligation, it's an extension of what she feels. And here's the thing about this kind of care. It's fragile, not because she's fragile, but because this level of emotional exposure doesn't come with armor. When a woman starts nurturing a man she desires, she's offering something unprotected, something she can't take back without bruising. And if you receive it carelessly, if you dismiss it, overlook it, or worse, take it for granted, she won't confront you. She won't argue. She'll just close, quietly, permanently. And you may never understand what you lost because you never understood what you had. Now I want to stop here and speak directly to you, because I know some of you are listening to this and feeling something heavy, something uncomfortable, something that sounds like recognition. You've been that man. You've been the one who gave too much, who showed up too fast, who opened too wide, too early, without checking if the space was safe. You texted too often. You explained too much. You tried to prove your feelings before she even asked for them, and when she pulled back because she wasn't ready, because it was too much, because your energy carried the weight of need instead of calm, you blamed yourself. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought you weren't enough, but nothing was wrong with you. You simply didn't understand the rhythm. Attraction has a rhythm. It breathes. It expands and contracts. There are moments of closeness and moments of distance, and both are necessary. The closeness builds heat. The distance builds longing. And when you try to eliminate the distance, when you chase every pullback, when you fill every silence, When you refuse to let the space breathe, you suffocate the very thing that was trying to grow. That's not a character flaw. That's a pattern. And patterns can be changed. You weren't weak for caring. You weren't foolish for wanting connection. You were simply unaware of how attraction moves. And awareness, real, honest, grounded awareness, is the thing that changes everything. So let's talk about what changes. When you stop chasing, something happens. Not immediately, not dramatically, but something shifts in the space between you and the women in your life. Because chasing carries a frequency. It vibrates with need, with urgency, with the unspoken message that you are incomplete without her response. And that frequency repels the very thing it's trying to attract. But stillness, real, grounded, unforced stillness, carries a different frequency entirely. It says, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, but I don't need you to complete me. And that frequency draws people in, not because it's a strategy, but because it's honest. It's the energetic signature of a man who has done the work of knowing himself, and that kind of man is rare. When you stop chasing, you create space, and in that space, she has room to feel, room to miss you, room to wonder, room to choose you. Not because you pressured her into it, but because your absence made her realize how much your presence meant. This is not about playing hard to get. This is about being hard to lose. There's a difference. Playing hard to get is a tactic, it's performative, it's driven by the desire to manipulate a response. Being hard to lose is a state of being. It means you've built a life, a sense of self, a level of inner peace that doesn't depend on whether she texts back. It means your world is full enough that her presence is welcome but not required. And when a woman senses that, when she feels that she's chosen, not needed, everything changes. Because being needed is pressure. Being chosen is desire, and a woman wants to be desired by a man who doesn't need her to function. She wants to know that your calm isn't an act, that your steadiness isn't performance, that when you choose to be with her, it's because you want to, not because you'll fall apart if she leaves. That's the quiet power most men never access, not because they can't, but because they've been taught that love means sacrifice, that devotion means suffering, that the more you give, the more you're worth. And none of that is true. Not in the way it's been sold to you. Real love is not about how much you give. It's about how much you can hold without losing yourself.
There's a version of you that you haven't met yet. Not a louder version. Not a harder version. Not a version that has all the right words at the right time or never feels pain or never questions himself. That version doesn't exist. And chasing it will exhaust you the same way chasing her approval ever did. The version I'm talking about is quieter than you expect. He's not trying to prove anything. He's not rehearsing what to say. He's not scanning her face for signs that he's doing it right. He's settled, not because everything in his life is perfect, but because he's stopped outsourcing his peace to people who never asked to carry it. That's the shift. That's the real one. Not learning how to read women, not memorizing signs of attraction, not developing some formula that turns uncertainty into control. The real shift is when you stop looking to her for confirmation that you matter and start standing in the knowledge that you do. Without proof, without applause, without her. That's not arrogance. That's the opposite of arrogance. Arrogance needs an audience. What I'm describing doesn't need anything. It just is. And when a man reaches that place, that quiet, unshakable certainty in his own worth, everything around him rearranges, including how women respond to him. Because here's something no one talks about. Women don't fall for the man who tries the hardest. They fall for the man they can't unsettle. The man who listens without reacting, who hears without defending, who can sit in discomfort without needing to fix it immediately. That man isn't performing strength, he's embodying it. And the difference is something every woman feels instantly. You've spent a long time trying to figure her out, trying to decode her silence, trying to understand why she pulled back, why she didn't respond, why she seemed interested one day and distant the next. And I'm not going to tell you those questions don't matter, they do. But they matter less than the question you've been avoiding. Why do you need her response to feel okay? Sit with that. Don't rush past it. Don't intellectualize it. Just let it land. Because the answer to that question is the key to everything. It's the key to why you overtext, why you over-explain, why you feel hollow when she doesn't react the way you hoped. It's the key to why you've been giving your power away to women who never asked for it and wouldn't know what to do with it even if they wanted it. You've been building your emotional home on someone else's land, and every time she shifted, your entire foundation moved with her. That's not love. That's dependency dressed up as devotion. And the worst part is, you thought you were being a good man. You thought showing her how much you cared, constantly, relentlessly, without restraint, was the right thing to do. And no one ever told you that the right thing and the attractive thing are not always the same. Being a good man is not about how much you give. It's about how clearly you see yourself, her, and the space between you. It's about knowing when to step forward and when to stay still, when to speak and when to let the silence carry what words would only weaken. It's about having the discipline to not react to every emotional shift she makes, not because you don't care, but because you trust the process more than you fear the uncertainty. And that trust, that quiet, unshakable trust in yourself and in the natural rhythm of connection, is the most attractive thing a man can carry. More than looks, more than money, more than charm, because a woman can feel when a man trusts himself. She can feel it in the way he holds eye contact without searching, in the way he speaks without qualifying, in the way he lets a moment pass without trying to capture it, control it, or make it mean something it doesn't yet mean. So here's what I want you to take from this. Stop trying to win her. Not because she isn't worth it, but because the version of you that's trying to win her is the version that's already lost himself. The man who wins is the man who was never playing. The man who shows up not because he's calculated the odds, but because he's genuinely present. The man who doesn't need the outcome to be okay. That man is not cold. He's not distant. He's not unavailable. He's simply whole. And wholeness, in a world full of men who are quietly desperate, is the rarest and most magnetic thing you can be. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be settled. You don't need to know exactly what to say. You need to be comfortable with saying nothing at all. You don't need her to choose you in order to feel chosen. You need to choose yourself, consistently, quietly, without fanfare, until choosing yourself becomes so natural that it stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like who you are. She will notice. Not because you wanted her to, but because that kind of transformation doesn't happen quietly in the way you think. It radiates. It changes how you walk into a room, how you hold a conversation, how you respond to silence, how you receive affection without clinging to it, how you let someone go without breaking apart. And when she notices, the right one, the one whose emotional depth matches yours, she won't just be attracted. She'll be safe. Safe in the knowledge that you aren't going to collapse under the weight of intimacy. Safe in the understanding that your love comes from fullness, not from hunger. That's the kind of man women don't walk away from. Not because he's perfect, but because he's present. Not because he's dominant, but because he's stable. Not because he never feels pain, but because his pain doesn't become her responsibility. You've been looking for signs that she wants you. But the real question was never about her. Are you still trying to win her? Or have you finally decided to come home to yourself? That's where it starts. That's where everything starts. And you already know the answer.